Welcome Capricorn to your in-depth monthly forecast for January 2025 for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. I'm going to share some standout details with you to begin with, then on screen your event chart right at the start of January. That provides a backdrop for the whole month. Then as influences feed in, I'll go through those frame by frame to give you a clear picture of what January 2025 holds in store for you. If you've yet to watch your year 2025 deep dive video, please see the link beneath this video. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell, wishing you all the best for year 2025. If you're new to my channel, thank you for joining me. This is very much a community. If you have any thoughts, please do share them. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, we have found that 50% of people who regularly watch my videos are not subscribers. Please help the channel to thrive. Click that sub button, but also the bell notification symbol. Also, please like and share my videos too. If you'd like to order your year 2025 personal forecast based on your unique birth data, if you order in 24 you'll get the rest of the year free. In 25 you'll get a full 12 months from the time of the order. You'll also get my free gift of your zodiac, general, love, Chinese and Vedic forecast, as well as 30% off and your life roadmap report. Your life roadmap report is particularly influential because this helps you to understand the patterns that have played out in your life so far. The forecast helps you to time your moves, because knowing when the planets are helping or perhaps resisting your efforts is a critical feature of working with astrology. If you'd like to order from a whole sign perspective, a solar perspective if you don't know your time, draconic perspective if you'd like your soul perspective, please see the links below for more. Also, if you'd like to have a one-to-one with me, I am a consulting astrologer. Please check out my testimonials below and you can read exactly what people have said. I don't edit these at all. Now, as we go into the new year, Capricorn, you're surfing the back of a new moon in your sign. But it's not any old new moon, it's a black moon, which is super rare. It occurred on the 30th of December, and it's because there was another new moon on the 1st of the month in Sagittarius. But the new moon for you gives you an opportunity to enter this year really feeling very energized. The moon's asking you to think about things like your personal image, the ideas that you've been percolating that you'd like to put into action in January, and just as a sense of freshness. But also, as we go into this new year, Saturn, your ruler, is in a square with Jupiter, the planet of growth. Now, Saturn gets a little bit of a bad press, but it does have lots of qualities. But one of the things it is asking you to do, especially on the back of that new moon energy as you enter January, is make sure that everything that you plan is very well executed and doesn't see you try to do too much, because particularly in terms of your interactions with others, you don't want to overload yourself. But there's no doubt about it, the other big story at the start of this year is the clash between Mars and Pluto. And if you are thinking about your financial resources, or you're in a relationship where there is two of you in terms of consideration, whether it's romantically or a business partnership, or you work for a business where you don't feel rewarded and recognized as much as you could, it's going to be a big deal for you right at the start of this month. And Mars is then going to invert into your sector of relationships on the 6th, continuing its retrograde through to the 24th of February, but is going to occupy your 7th house through to the 18th of April. So relationships are going to be sharply in focus, as well as your need to assert what you want from that new moon as an individual. And that's not necessarily an easy mix to blend. Having said that, Mercury, the planet of business, does move into your sign on the 8th. If you have gone through a period of soul searching or have felt a little detached from others, this is going to bring you back into the moment. Also, your ability to communicate effectively with people may have felt a little bit stymied by Saturn in the last 2 years. The North Node comes along on the 11th to give you some support. But the full moon, which occurs on the 13th, is potentially challenging. And if there is a relationship which is a little tenuous, particularly with Venus connecting with your ruler on the 19th, there may need to be some serious conversations. But later in the month, if you're really wanting to get those everyday resources working efficiently, but also gain a deeper sense of self-worth and personal value, there's a fab chance to do that as January comes to a close. On the screen now, I'm showing the event chart right at the start of the month. And you can see the sun is always at 10 degrees at the start of the year. And the moon's moved on from the conjunction with the new moon, but it did forge in a very enterprising link with Uranus in your 5th house. 5th house is about romance, but it's also about how you express yourself. And it has asked you since March 2019 to be more daring, to break the mold. And that combination between the moon and Uranus looks really exciting to see in the new year. But what about Saturn? You can see Saturn's in your 3rd house still, but it is in a direct square with Jupiter. And this is why I think it's important that you do manage your time, but also your energy and your commitment to others very carefully. Because Jupiter's in a retrograde all this month, it actually forges a really enterprising link to the Sun later on in January, but right at the start of this month, if you do feel that you've almost got too much to do, that can in some ways crowd out that new moon energy which wants you to focus on what you want to do for you. However, within the mix, I think improving your finances may be part of your calculus. Having Venus in your 2nd house to start the year is excellent. It's just that it squares to Uranus, which could make you frivolous, particularly if there's someone on your radar that you're drawn to romantically, because Venus squaring Uranus could make you much more spontaneous, but it also could see you finding it rather difficult to resist those January sales. But seriously, Pluto is the big story for you, because this is the first year ever in your lifetime, or any of our lifetimes, that Pluto has started the year in the sign of Aquarius for over 200 years. And Pluto in Aquarius, the 2nd house, is about things like the foundational elements of your life. It is about what you stand for. It is about what you're attached to and identify with. It is those core values, but it is about the filthy lucre. And because it's opposite Mars, I feel that one of the things that will play out in 2025 for you is an incredible determination to improve your income. And your willpower to do it is going to be phenomenal. The problem with Mars opposite Pluto is that it is a very firm, assertive influence that can be very power orientated. So in any kind of alliance, it's important to try to make sure that the balance between the ins and outs between the parties involved is working. So whether it is professionally or personally, that's going to be one of the themes of the year ahead. But it could also make you incredibly amorous. So if you are wanting to bring some excitement into your love life, that's going to be really interesting. Which brings us to Venus. Venus moves into a chatty part of your chart on the 3rd, but also into the water sign of Pisces, where she thrives. Where Saturn has perhaps made you a little inhibited in terms of expressing your feelings, Venus here can loosen things up. Take it all day long. Also Mercury, which has been really quite a sabotaging influence for you in the 12th house for 10 long weeks, finally emerges from the post-retrograde shadow on the 3rd. If you have done quite a lot of soul searching, particularly up until the time the sun went into Capricorn with the winter solstice, and perhaps have felt a little detached or isolated from others, that will start to ease. But Mars inverts back into Cancer for the second time on the 6th, and that's going to make you feisty about your boundaries through to the 18th of April. But that's not a bad thing. And also, if you are wanting to bring that romantic partner into your world, going to make you much more active in terms of pursuing your desire. But just be aware that Mars continues its retrograde. So if you rush anything, that could be self-sabotaging. But Mercury moving into your sign on the 8th is going to be very reassuring. If you have felt that you've been floating without structure, or you have felt let down or disappointed by certain people, perhaps you've even felt that someone's been disloyal, Mercury moving into your sign can help you to get a clearer perspective. As I mentioned before, the North Node, the point of destiny, moving on the 11th into the sign of Pisces, accenting Venus's arrival, another good news story. They help to move things. So whatever your energy or ideas are that you want to express, things can gain a greater fluidity. But the full moon on the 13th in your opposite sign suggests if there is an issue in a relationship, it could get very emotional. But do you know, the converse can be true. The fact that Mars is linking with the moon, which can be a volatile link, but also they're both linking back to Uranus, could actually give you the push and the prompt and the provocation in a way to actually step outside your comfort zone and take some steps to join some kind of hobby club, interest group, whatever it may be, so to find the spark to take that move forwards. But equally, if you are in a relationship which isn't working very well, I think there could be some quarrels. Mars on the 7th house likes to really be very firm. The 7th house is that sweet spot that we link to others. But on the 19th, it's all about the money. The 21st, as the sun applies to Pluto, it gets even more about the money. It's going to be important not to be obsessed about the money at this point. Pluto does create obsession, but if you want to transform something, for example, loosen up your cash flow by selling off things you don't use. So you revitalize your cash flow, rejuvenate Pluto by letting go of something that's a physical item that you no longer use, because the 2nd house can be, as I mentioned before, about attachment. But also it could be you becoming even more enterprising. Capricorns are usually very, very skilled at resources. But what is going on here is that Pluto can help you tap into the deepest part of your being, perhaps some unused emotional, spiritual, psychological, creative resources that you're not giving full power to. The sun will help. But the last 2 weeks of this month also sees an electric link between Mars in your 7th house and Uranus. You could encounter someone romantically or business-wise who's really challenging, but actually like a breath of fresh air. Perhaps because you can be very sensible, having someone who's more emotional but also exciting in the way they do things can be the perfect complement. So some kind of excitement definitely can play out. The 28th, however, sees Mercury make its way from your sign, where you've been coming up with some great ideas, move into Aquarius, could see you get some kind of return. The 29th, the new moon, a perfect time to set your intentions, to improve the foundation of your world, make it firmer, more stable, but also, most importantly, celebrate what you stand for. The 2nd house isn't just about money. It can also be about food, you know. If you are wanting to really stick to a diet, and that's part of your New Year's resolutions, this new moon could give you a tailwind which helps you to keep ploughing forwards, to stick with it, and to show the grit and determination to keep going. Now, Uranus is an erratic influence for us all, particularly in the rather stubborn sign of Taurus. because that creates resistance and therefore tension. But Uranus goes direct after a 5 months backward journey. If you have felt that creatively, socially, romantically, things have just been very slow, frustrating, irritating, energy can just flow through. Now, I told you before about the Sun's link to Jupiter at the very end of this month, one of astrology's most fortunate. Jupiter, it's undeniable, is in your 6th house, but although it starts this year in retrograde, its link to the Sun suggests that if you do something which shows a little bit of dare, but it's based on some solid mathematics, planning, research, you could have a big stroke of fortune as January comes to a close. A great month, and do check out your year 2025 deep dive video by clicking on the link underneath this one.